Why do people continue to make irrational bets, believing they are due for a win? The gambler's fallacy is one of the most deceptive cognitive biases, leading us to think past events influence future outcomes, even when they don't. From gambling tables to stock markets and even daily life, this fallacy tricks our minds into seeing patterns where none exist. Let's explore why our brains are wired this way, real-world consequences, and how we can break free from this illusion. 1. Understanding the gambler's fallacy. The gambler's fallacy, also known as the Monte Carlo fallacy, occurs when people believe that a random event is more or less likely to happen based on past occurrences, even though each event is statistically independent. Imagine flipping a coin 5 times in a row and it lands on heads every time. Many people believe that tails must be next because it hasn't appeared in a while. But the truth is, the probability of getting heads or tails is still 50-50, regardless of past results. This thinking leads people to make irrational bets and take unnecessary risks. This fallacy appears everywhere. In casinos, players believe a slot machine is due for a win after a long losing streak. In lotteries, people pick numbers they think are luckier because they haven't been drawn recently. In stock markets, traders assume a declining stock must rebound soon. In sports betting, fans think a losing team is bound to win. Even in daily life, we assume that after a string of bad luck, something good must be coming. This false belief encourages risk-taking, leading to financial losses, poor decision-making, and even addiction. This illusion is reinforced by emotions. When we experience multiple losses, frustration builds, making us feel we are owed a win. Likewise, winning repeatedly creates overconfidence, making us believe our streak will continue indefinitely. This leads people to take increasingly bigger risks, often resulting in disastrous consequences. 2. The Monte Carlo disaster, a costly lesson. One of the most famous real-world examples of the gambler's fallacy took place in Monte Carlo Casino in 1913 during a game of roulette. The ball landed on black 26 times in a row, an extremely rare occurrence. Convinced that red was overdue, gamblers poured millions into betting on red, expecting the streak to end. But the wheel doesn't remember past spins. The probability of landing on black or red was always the same. Yet people lost massive amounts of money because they trusted an illusion. This situation played into a deep-seated belief in balance and fairness. The longer a streak lasted, the more players assumed it had to end. However, randomness does not follow human logic. Each spin was independent, and no force in the universe was ensuring red had to appear next. The Monte Carlo incident remains one of the most expensive and well-documented examples of the gambler's fallacy, proving how even experienced gamblers can fall victim to flawed reasoning. The psychological impact of watching a streak grow fuels desperation. The more people lose, the more they feel they must keep betting to win it back. This emotional roller coaster leads to reckless financial decisions, with many gamblers suffering long-term consequences. Another shocking example occurred in Japan's pachinko industry, where players often chase losses, convinced their machine will eventually pay out. This has led to significant financial losses, and even cases of compulsive gambling, where individuals sell their belongings or take loans just to continue playing. 3. Why do we fall for this illusion? If the gambler's fallacy is so irrational, why do so many people believe in it? The answer lies in how our brains evolved to recognize patterns and predict outcomes. Our ancestors relied on pattern recognition for survival, spotting repeated animal tracks, predicting seasonal changes, or learning which plants were poisonous, or all required the ability to identify patterns and act accordingly. This skill was beneficial in nature, but becomes misleading in truly random scenarios, like gambling. We intuitively believe that the world should be fair. If something happens too often, we expect a correction. This is why many think bad luck can't last forever, or that a losing streak must end soon. Many gamblers also believe they can sense when luck is about to change. This illusion of control makes them feel they can influence randomness even when they can't. Most people also don't intuitively understand probability. If an event is rare, we assume it must become more likely soon, even though probability resets with every independent event. The illusion of control is another key reason. When people feel they can predict an outcome, they develop a sense of confidence, even when their reasoning is flawed. This belief is reinforced in gambling, where players may use rituals, lucky numbers, or past experiences to convince themselves they have an edge. However, in random chance games, no action or strategy can change the outcome. 4. The real-world consequences of the gambler's fallacy. The gambler's fallacy affects financial decisions, business strategies, and even legal rulings. While it might seem like just a problem at the casino, its impact reaches far beyond gambling tables and into everyday decision-making, often with severe consequences. In investing, traders hold on to failing stocks, convinced they must rebound soon, even when financial data suggests otherwise. This has led to massive financial losses, most notably during the dot-com bubble burst in the early 2000s. Many investors kept pouring money into tech stocks, believing that after sharp declines, recovery was inevitable. Instead, the bubble burst, wiping out billions in market value. A similar pattern repeated during the cryptocurrency crashes, where many believed a plummeting coin was due for a rise, leading to devastating losses. In the legal system, judges have been found to unconsciously avoid repeating similar rulings. A study analyzing thousands of parole decisions revealed that judges were less likely to approve parole if they had already granted multiple approvals that day, even when cases were nearly identical. The faulty logic? A belief that too many approvals in a row felt wrong, even though each case should have been judged independently. This has serious implications for justice, as legal outcomes should be based on facts, not subconscious biases. In sports, coaches and analysts sometimes assume a player who has missed several shots is due to score soon, influencing game strategies. This thinking affects crucial decisions, such as substitutions and play calls. In the 2016 NBA Finals, the Golden State Warriors continued feeding shots to key players who were struggling, believing they were due to break out of their slump. Instead, they kept missing, contributing to their historic collapse in the series. At its worst, the gambler's fallacy fuels gambling addiction. Many problem gamblers chase losses, believing they are due for a win, only to dig themselves into deeper financial and emotional distress. Casinos and betting platforms exploit this bias, using marketing tactics that encourage players to keep going because a big win is just around the corner. Some digital gambling apps even use artificial intelligence to track losing streaks and send push notifications, urging users to try one more time. Even governments and businesses fall into this trap. Failed infrastructure projects often receive additional funding, not because they are viable, but because decision-makers believe success is due after repeated setbacks. One infamous example is the Concorde supersonic jet project, which continued receiving billions in funding despite ongoing failures. Governments justified the spending by believing that, after so many setbacks, success had to come next. Instead, the project was ultimately shut down, wasting massive amounts of taxpayer money. The gambler's fallacy may seem like a minor flaw in thinking, but its real-world effects can be catastrophic. From personal financial ruin to major corporate losses and even flawed legal rulings, this cognitive bias shapes more decisions than most people realize. The gambler's fallacy affects financial decisions, business strategies, and even legal rulings. In investing, traders hold on to losing stocks, convinced they must go back up, often resulting in further losses. The same bias appears in cryptocurrency markets, where investors believe a crashing coin is due for recovery. In the legal system, judges may unconsciously avoid making similar rulings in succession. For instance, if a judge grants parole multiple times, they might deny the next case, even if it deserves approval. This creates inconsistencies in justice. In sports, coaches assume a player who has missed multiple shots is due to score, leading to poor strategic decisions. This fallacy impacts coaching choices, player confidence, and game outcomes. At its worst, the gambler's fallacy fuels gambling addiction. Many gamblers chase losses, believing a win is due, only to sink deeper into financial and emotional distress. Casinos and betting companies exploit this bias to keep players engaged. Even governments and businesses fall into this trap, continuing to fund failing projects under the illusion that success is inevitable. This mindset results in wasted resources and poor financial decisions. 5. How to break free from the gambler's fallacy. Understanding the gambler's fallacy is the first step toward avoiding it. The key is to recognize randomness and resist emotional decision-making. When making decisions, whether in gambling, investing, or everyday choices, it's crucial to rely on logic and data rather than gut feelings. One of the biggest mistakes people make is assuming that probability somehow balances out. Instead of expecting a losing streak to end simply because it has lasted too long, it's important to understand that each event is independent. For example, in roulette, even if the ball has landed on black 10 times in a row, the next spin is still a 50-50 chance between red and black. In investing, instead of holding on to a stock simply because you believe it's due for a rise, look at actual financial data, company performance, and market trends before making decisions. Many people fall into the sunk cost fallacy, believing they must stay invested because they've already lost money, which only leads to further losses. To break free from the gambler's fallacy, you can follow these strategies. 1. Understand probability. Each random event is independent. Past results have no impact on future outcomes, even if it feels like they do. 2. Separate emotions from decisions. Frustration, overconfidence, or desperation can lead to poor choices. Recognizing when emotions are taking over can help you pause and think critically. Damari. Use logical thinking. Instead of relying on what feels right, focus on the numbers, data, and statistics available. 4. Set clear limits. Whether in gambling, investing, or any high-stakes decision, establish predefined limits on spending, losses, and risk exposure. Having a clear exit strategy can prevent emotional decision-making. 5. Be aware of cognitive biases. Simply knowing that your brain is prone to errors can help you counteract them. Recognizing biases like the gambler's fallacy, the sunk cost fallacy, or overconfidence bias allows you to make more rational decisions. 6. Seek outside perspectives. When making important financial or life choices, consulting with experts or discussing decisions with trusted individuals can help you view situations objectively. 7. Practice mindfulness. Being aware of your thoughts and decision-making processes in real time can help you pause and reassess whether you're acting logically or being influenced by a faulty belief in patterns. The gambler's fallacy tricks even the smartest people into making bad decisions. It's a cognitive bias rooted in our instincts, but once we understand it, we can resist the urge to fall for it. Next time you catch yourself thinking it's due to happen, stop and ask, is this real probability or just my brain playing tricks? Drop a comment below. Have you ever fallen for the gambler's fallacy? Like, share, and subscribe for more insights on psychology and decision-making.